Okay, we're live. How's everyone doing out there?
Live and in action. Good evening, everybody. My name is Radlyn Mendoza, and this is my law partner,
That's right.
John Gardner, and we are attorneys with Gardner and Mendoza, and we appear here on Facebook Live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m., primarily to answer your questions. But we do give immigration updates as well, and court updates, and just things going around our community that affect our community. And so happy to be here tonight, as we are every single Wednesday night, and happy for people to be joining us.
Yeah, how's everyone doing out there tonight? It was just a typical day, not much going on, just an inauguration. That was pretty
in
big
the books.
In the books. Yeah, welcome everyone. Good to see you. If you have any questions, we want to answer those immigration questions. Make sure you put them in the comments, and we will try to get to them. We will get to them. And I will tell everyone just right at the outset here that we're not dispensing with legal advice here. What we say here is for educational purposes, informational purposes only. But if you have an immigration question or any kind of legal question, throw it out there so that we can answer it for you tonight. Okay?
Yes, because that is why we're here.
That's the primary reason. We are also going to talk about some things that we always talk about. We're going to get into some USCIS updates, let you know what's going on there. I'm going to update you again on the driver privilege card law in Virginia, as well as the talk. Looks like immigration legislation could be on the table again, so we'll keep our fingers crossed about that. We'll talk a little bit about what that might entail. I also am going to talk very briefly about the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program that was from last spring. There's a round 2. For those of you who know what this is, you'll be happy to hear about this briefly. For those of you who don't, you may want to look into it. And Radlyn's going to talk to you tonight about our inspirational story. We do this every week. We like to tell an inspirational immigration story. Last week I talked about an Ohio State football player. Radlyn's going to talk about somebody this week, and I'll leave that to her. But before we do that, I want to say hi to my Aunt Sue that I saw jumped on there. So, hi, Sue.
I want to see Miss Evelina. She's about to be a citizen. So proud.
Yeah. Congratulations.
I'll be talking to Miss Evelina soon.
Mm-hmm. That's totally awesome.
Yes.
So exciting.
Yes. Very, very exciting to become a U.S. citizen. Take that test. It's a little nerve-wracking.
It's very nerve-wracking.
But Miss Evelina, thank you so much for joining us. Miss Jocelyn is on. Hi, Miss Jocelyn. How are you? It's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, I don't think. And hello to Aunt Sue, as John said.
Yeah.
And all people hopping on. So we're going to be monitoring the comments and making sure that we don't miss any. And I'm going to talk quickly about our immigration story of the week, inspiring immigration story. And tonight we picked Mr. Trevor Spencer. And Mr. Trevor Spencer is a friend of the law firm. He is from Kingston, Jamaica. And I love this guy. This guy, he has just every single one of his posts on Facebook completely inspiring. And I have a little bit of inside knowledge about his story and how he immigrated to the United States, because I just thought he was a great candidate for our daughter to interview while she was doing a project about the hero's journey. I was like, hey, call our buddy, Mr. Spencer. Yeah. I think he has a great story to tell. Yes. I didn't know the full story at the time, but I just love his energy. And he came to the United States from Kingston, Jamaica, and he started playing soccer, or as they call it in Jamaica, and everywhere else in the world except the U.S., football. And he was really good at it. So he got a scholarship to play in high school, and that scholarship led to a scholarship to play in the United States at a U.S. college. He played in Kentucky first, transferred to VCU. So he's a Rams, right? The VCU Rams. Mm-hmm. And played soccer there, was the captain of the soccer team there, met his wife. They have 4 children together who are also big time soccer players as well. And today I was listening to the interview that he did with Mia, and what we always say here is that immigration is about family. And for Mr. Spencer, that was no different. All throughout that interview with Mia, he talked about his mom. His mom was back home in Jamaica, and all the sacrifices that his mom made. She was a single mom. He wanted so badly to bring her here. Everything he was doing was for his mother. And it just touched my heart to listen to that interview. And it's been a couple of years since I've heard it. And it just really, really underscores and highlights just the family part of immigration is just a huge and a major, major deal. So some of the things that he was saying, he's like, he was one of the first in his family to go to college. It was a really big deal. Soccer was an outlet for him. It was an outlet for you too. John was a big soccer player as well.
Soccer is life.
Soccer is life.
I'll leave it at that.
Soccer is life. And he just felt very fortunate because as he tells it, some of his friends died on the streets. He grew up in the ghetto in Jamaica. So when he talks about coming to the United States, becoming a lawful permanent resident of the United States, and getting to do all these things, it's just so much gratitude. Like you hear in his voice, he's just so grateful for this opportunity. And he says, I can't believe it sometimes. And sometimes I want to pinch myself. I have way too much than I deserve. I grew up in one bedroom with 5 of us sleeping in the same bed. And he just has just so much genuine love and for this country in the United States, and calls it the land of opportunity. And he says, look, you don't have to waste your life. You can benefit yourself. And his calling is not to just benefit himself, of course, but to benefit others as well around him. And so that's why we wanted to highlight Mr. Spencer. His mom is now a lawful permanent resident of the United States. She lives here, and he's so grateful. It's the gratitude. And when I was thinking about this interview and hearing him speak, sometimes we just take things for granted. I was born in the United States. John was born in the United States. I mean, little things can get under your skin, but this man is every day coming from a place of gratitude, and that's why we wanted to highlight him.
Yeah, he really is. He's always super positive, upbeat. He's, he loves and respects Jamaica, but he loves and respects the United States. He's patriotic. He's just a great story. There's nothing, absolutely not a single bad thing you can say about it.
So his, I will leave with this. One of his last, his post from a couple of days ago was eyes wide open, still breathing, heart's beating. So there must be a purpose, plan, and a good reason. 10,000 reasons to smile. Choose one. So leave you with those words of Mr. Trevor Spencer, our immigrant inspiring story of the week.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have a soft spot for Jamaica as well.
We do. I mean, we've been twice.
Been there twice. Once when we were in law school with some friends, and then once just the two of us.
Didn't we almost do a secret marriage there?
We did almost do a secret marriage.
We didn't do it. We didn't do it. It's not a secret because we didn't do it.
And
the paperwork was just too much.
Mm-hmm. And I saw my Aunt Jill jumped on. Hi, Jill. How you doing? Joining us all the way from South Florida, where I know for a fact it's quite a bit warmer because I was there last week.
It's always warm like Miami on this third floor, though.
That's true.
I have a sweater on, and it's steamy in here.
All right.
Well,
let's get those questions going. I don't see any questions yet, and that's the main thing we want to do here is answer questions. So if you have one, throw it in there.
And if you don't have any questions, then you can kind of hear us jabber on about things, and then we'll go eat dinner with our kids. It's all good.
Mm-hmm. So really quick, and I'm not trying to waste time here, but this is just one of my favorite stories. When we were in Jamaica the second time, we were staying at this really little place called Jake's. It was kind of one of these, more rustic places. No air conditioning, mosquito nets, that kind of situation. It was just hot.
Was the shower outside?
Yeah, everything was.
Shower outside, which means you paid 3 times as much as you would at a really nice resort. But anyway, yeah.
So the whole time we're there, everybody keeps telling us that you've got to go to this one lady's restaurant. It's like a 2-mile walk, but she makes the best pizza that you've ever had. And we're like, okay, we're in Jamaica. Pizza? Okay.
And fries.
And so, yeah. and fries. Well, anyway, we finally, right before we left, we decided we're going to make the 2-mile trek at night down this old country road.
At night, yeah.
In the middle of nowhere, in the southern part of Jamaica on the southern coast. Anyway, we get there. There's no pizza. She said because I think it was the flour delivery hadn't come that day or something, and so all she had was the fries, and so we just had the fries and I think
some eggs.
And some eggs. Oh, that's right. That's right. We had some fries and some fried eggs.
For dinner.
So that was
the fries were great. They were hand cut and fried and.
Yeah, I think when everyone asked us, "Oh, how was the pizza? Isn't that the best pizza you've ever had?" We said, "Oh, yeah, it was great."
Yeah, we just lied.
Okay, well, that's one of our Jamaica stories. We have a lot of them, but we'll just move on now.
Jamaica's probably why we got married. But anyway, yeah,
it's definitely helped.
Very romantic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so anyway, cool. I'm getting kind of flush here. Let's talk about, you want to start with some USCIS updates?
Yeah, sure. Just a couple of updates. We cover a lot of things in our Facebook Lives, and John and I decided to kind of condense things because it's a lot of words per minute, right? It's a lot of information coming out. And just a couple of things here that happened this week. I wanted to remind the H-1B employers out there, if you are thinking about filing an H-1B for an employee or a potential employee, please try to contact us sooner rather than later. That season is now. H-1B season is right now. And as I mentioned last week, there is no more randomized lottery selection of all of the H-1 registrations that go through. There will be priority given to those registrations that have higher wage levels. So that's something different that we're going to be contending with this H-1B season, but I just wanted to throw it out there again, and also to remind the employers and the potential H-1B beneficiaries, the employees, that the H-1B season time is right now. So if you need our help, please let us know. And then the second update is President Trump. President Trump, he was the president and still referred to as the president. He signed a deferred enforced departure program for Venezuelans going into effect today. And so basically it's called DED for short, because it's hard to pronounce, deferred enforced departure, and DED, and it essentially offers temporary legal status to Venezuelans. So that was done on Tuesday. It was announced on Tuesday, goes into effect today, and essentially allows Venezuelans who have fled their country because of the political climate and everything that's going on there to not be deported, as well as to apply for work permits, employment authorization. And so that's going to, based on the memo, that's going to go on for about 18 months. And we'll see if that gets extended or transitioned into something like temporary protected status by the new administration. And it's supposed to protect about 200,000 Venezuelans. So that is great news for the Venezuelans here in the United States. And we know many of them who are struggling and just with the uncertainty because of what's going on in their country. So
yeah, and I think that's probably likely. I think that in the interviews that have been going on in the last week, I know Vice President Harris specifically had mentioned adding Venezuela to the TPS list. So that's great.
Why don't we jump in, before I go into the practice tip, let's jump into potential legislation down the road. We mentioned this last week.
Yeah. So I'm sure some of you watched the inauguration today, and I'm sure that if you've been following the news, you've probably been hearing about immigration. Cautious optimism is still what we always have, only because we've been down this road before and we've heard all this chatter before.
Indeed.
Only to have it always grind down and stall out somewhere, whether it's the House, the Senate, the White House, whatever. It just always seems to run into some sort of trouble. And I will tell you right out of the gate that there's already trouble brewing with this new stuff that we're hearing. But just so we know what we're talking about, okay? As you know, start from the beginning. We have a new president now, today, okay? And President Biden, and I get used to saying that, that's the new President
absolutely.
Biden has been talking for a couple days and already sent, as a matter of fact, sort of draft legislation that he would like Congress to start looking at, because one of his number one priorities that he has indicated he wants to tackle is immigration reform. It's the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, and it would provide a pathway to citizenship for millions of immigrants. It would include additional funding for technology along the border. We're not sure what that is exactly. And it also aims to, I think, he said, try to address the root causes in some of these countries where folks are coming from. I think the idea is to try to pump some more money into the places where we're seeing a lot of people flee, coming toward our southern border, and trying to figure out, what can we do to make it a little better there, so that not as many people are so desperate to get out of there. This will kind of control the swell that we see sometimes at our southern border. It kind of goes up and down. I think right now, actually, I heard there's another big group coming. So that's basically what that's his three-pronged approach, so to speak, is this path to citizenship for folks that are here. We're going to pump some money into these countries to try to help stabilize them more there economically. And then we're also going to try to use more technology at the border. And again, I don't quite know what the details are on that. I'm sure that we'll be finding out more about that in the near future. What this program essentially is, the goal that it has, what it's setting out as the legislative goal, is a 5-year path essentially to a green card. So if you're in the country undocumented and you were here on January 1st of 2021, then you will be able to, if this ever became law, if it ever becomes law as drafted, you would basically have a 5-year period in which you would be able to obtain, after those 5 years, like a green card, okay? A green card. Sometimes they call it temporary protected status. Sometimes they're calling it a green card. And I think it's just because it's all draft legislation. Nobody really quite knows exactly what it will be. But in any event, it would be a legal status, a permanent legal status in 5 years. So long as you get through the background checks and, pay taxes. I assume the background check will have the same bars that currently exist for folks seeking permanent residence in the United States. After you get that green card, there would then be a 3-year road to citizenship. So that's a pretty big deal when you really think about it.
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay.
It's huge.
That's a really big deal. It's also going to give more permanent status almost immediately to folks who've had TPS, have TPS, and also those who have DACA. So if you have TPS or DACA, you're going to be on a really super fast glide path to permanent resident status. Okay.
It's never fast, but it is fast compared to nothing happening at all.
Yeah, well, fast also compared to the folks that are just here that are undocumented. That's a whole different, that's an 8-year process total.
Yes, right.
To get there. And it won't be that long for TPS and DACA people that are here right now.
Right.
The reason I say cautious optimism is because, this just got floated out 3 or 4 days ago. I'm already seeing all the pushback. There's already talk in the Senate that, this is dead on arrival unless there's increased border security. We'll see. All right, but I'll tell you what, it is definitely an improvement. The fact that this legislation is a priority and is on the table right now as a legislative priority with the new president, that alone is very encouraging, because even if there's a lot of negotiation that takes place, and maybe some stuff gets dropped, some gets added, some big immigration reform would be really, really super cool.
Yeah, and I think the fact that it's been done on day one, as opposed to, say, first 100 days, means that it's very important to this administration to get it done. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we shall see.
No question that it's important to this administration. I just, like I said, I've seen this movie before, and we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed, though. Fingers crossed.
Yes. John's going to be watching this closely. He's going to report back about who's supporting this, who's not. Don't we need 10 people to sign off on this? And so we'll keep you guys posted.
So it probably gets through the House. There's still a slim Democratic majority there. I think they have about 12 vote majority, and so it probably gets through there. It's gonna get tinkered with. There's just no way that it won't.
Right.
And as I always remind people, because I know that in the community that we work with, there's a lot of frustration with this stuff, and sometimes it's like, oh, come on, this is so easy. Why can't they just do it? And I just remind people that, some of these Congress folks are in districts where these are much harder votes for them, and so I think we're going to see some pushback in places where there's high unemployment and a lot of blue-collar workers that are unemployed. That's going to be one area of pushback for sure. And of course, just the regular standard run-of-the-mill solid red states that are always going to be pushing back on this kind of legislation. I think it'll probably get through the House with some tinkering. The Senate is where the real...
I know.
where the real slow motion begins, because as Radlin said, they need 60 votes to get through the filibuster, so they'll have to peel away 10 Republicans. I can think of at least 4 right off the top of my head that I think will pretty easily go. But that leaves 6 more, so the bill will end up having more in it than what's in it right now. That's for sure. But
thank you.
It's the number one legislative priority for the new administration.
Day one.
You can't really ask for anything more than that if immigration is your thing, okay?
Right, absolutely. And just want to throw out a warning out to people. When there is this talk about immigration reform and what we can do and what's going to be done, you have to be careful with people who are trying to sign you up for money, okay? So I think that USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, will be putting out, a lot of fraud alerts and notices, but this is not happening now or probably even within the next several months. So no one should be paying anyone to do this process for them. And we're at the very beginning stages, but again, frankly speaking, there are a lot of vultures out there, and they want to take advantage of desperate people, and it's sad to say, but it happens. So just as a warning, and this is not happening now, and we will let you know when it's happening and what you can do, and what we can do to help. And if there are other parts of the community where they're doing pro bono services and helping people out, we'll let you know that as well. But as of now, nothing is on the table. Nothing is final. People are already emailing us and, sending us messages, what can I do now to be a part of this legislation? There's so much that we don't know right now about this. So please be careful. Please do not become a victim of fraud. And, we will keep you posted here week after week as it unfolds.
Yeah, and there's no talk here on any number caps, and so this is not like, the first 5,000 who sign up are in and everyone else. It's not like that at all. This would be something that would just be either you're eligible for it or you're not, and if you are, you can do it any time. But like Radlin said, be patient. Do not rush to sign up for something right now, because there is nothing right now. What there is right now is a legislative goal from the new administration. The House is going to look at it. They're going to start debating it. They have to decide to take it up. I think they will, of course. But then there's going to be all kinds of jockeying, and every congressperson is going to be trying to get their special little thing inserted into it. And then it's got to go to the Senate, and then the Senate's going to mess with it if it gets through there at all. It may go back to the House for an amended bill for them to look at, and then back to the Senate. I mean, remember, just as a frame of reference, remember, Barack Obama's legislative goal, his first one, was healthcare, and I think it took over a year before that even went through. It might have even been more than that. I'll have to check that, but took a very long time. President Trump, tax cuts that was his big thing at the very beginning of day one. He said, we're going to do corporate tax cuts and across the board tax cuts. And it took a very long time before it actually got through. So this has to grind along, okay? So don't jump on anything yet. We'll keep you posted. And we promise that we will keep you up to date. And when there's something to actually do, bang, we will let you know and we will help you get on it immediately, okay?
Thank you for that. We look forward to hearing more.
Oh, I'm going to follow.
John, this is right up John's alley. He just loves all this.
I got Hawkeyes on this. All right.
He loves all this bill making and sausage making and such.
Yeah, well, it's
exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. It is exciting. You know what? I mean, this is a big deal. This hasn't happened. The last time we had something like this was in 1986. So,
yeah, that was right.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Okay, so let's get a practice tip on immigration.
You do a quick practice tip for you guys. I want to try to do a practice tip every single week. And this practice tip is, and I got this from a question, of course, from someone that wrote in and said, hey, I am the beneficiary of an I-130 petition filed by my sibling. It looks like it's taking X amount of years. Can you, as an attorney, if I hire you, can you speed that up? Can you speed the visa bulletin up? And for those who have I-130 petitions out there pending in the categories of unmarried son and daughter over the age of 21 of a U.S. citizen, married son and daughter of a U.S. citizen, the spouse and the child under 21 of a lawful permanent resident, the unmarried children of lawful permanent residents. If you guys fit into those categories, then you know what I'm talking about with the visa bulletin. The visa bulletin comes out every month. It shows the number of worldwide visas that are available in each country, in each category. And there's nothing that I can do as an immigration lawyer, and I wish I could, to speed up the visa bulletin in your particular category. So I like to say, and people look at me like I'm crazy, like, if you gave me $1 million right now, there's nothing I would be able to do in order to speed up the visa bulletin. It would be awesome if I could. But don't let anyone tell you that they can speed up the visa bulletin. I don't know of any case, maybe a private bill, but that takes moving of mountains. But just generally speaking, there is nothing to do with a visa bulletin and a priority date other than wait until your priority date is current. So that is my practice tip for you today. Don't give me $1 million because I cannot speed up the visa bulletin. And no one else can either.
It reminds me of, I've done a lot of criminal defense through the years. That was my primary practice area for many years before getting more into criminal immigration. And I'd always have clients that would have something like that to say. They'd say, oh, I really got to get this charge dismissed. I know that. How about if I give you like some extra cash, can you just like give it to the judge next time you guys are golfing? And I would just be, what are you talking about? No. A, I don't golf with the judges, and B, no, I can't slip the judge some cash on the golf course.
John does not
That's just not how things actually work. I don't know, that's a movie or something.
John is my husband is extremely athletic. But I did see you on the golf course there, and
it was ugly.
It's a game, that's why it's not a sport.
I got so frustrated on the golf course because it sounds like I'm bragging, but every sport that I've participated in, it comes fairly easily, except for golf. When I got on that golf course, I couldn't even hit the ball. I got so frustrated, I started telling people, well, this isn't a sport. This is a game. I'm not good at games.
That's right.
And everybody was like, whatever.
That's right. The folks that we were golfing with, have you ever played putt-putt? It's not that hard. I don't know. We were just really struggling with it, and there's expletives out there on the golf course.
Yes,
Accidentally slipped
absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway, all right.
All right. Oh, and Malou's there. Hey, cuz.
Cuz, what's going on? Everyone joining us, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
It.
If you know anyone who would find our information helpful in our Facebook Lives, please share the page and please let them know. We would love to have more questions, immigration-related questions, or any questions. Ask us anything and try to answer it. We will do our best. Anyhow.
And I'm going to take this opportunity right now real quick to talk about the PPP. This is not a major thing tonight. Some of you are business owners. A lot of our clients are business owners. And if you are, you may want to look into, if you recall, last spring there was the Paycheck Protection Program, and basically this was a loan. It was a forgivable loan that businesses could apply for to cover payroll expenses, and as long as they could show that they kept their employees employed during the pandemic and didn't reduce wages, they could then go to the SBA and ask for the loan to be forgiven. Okay, so it's basically like a grant. Well, there's now PPP Part 2. So if you're a small business owner, and even if you got the PPP the first time around, you can still apply for round 2 of the PPP. And as long as you can show that you had a 25% drop in your gross receipts between any quarter in 2020 versus any quarter in 2019. So get your books out, run some numbers, and see if that applies to you. And if it does, get a hold of your bank and ask them how you can apply for it, okay? Because this is another great opportunity to get some much needed help. I know a lot of businesses have been struggling. It's I don't know, funny is not the right word, interesting. I just feel like this was such a major topic of conversation for so long, and it's just blipped away. You turn on the news, nobody's even talking anymore about the fact that all these businesses are still, a lot of them out of business or really, really struggling. So
right.
If you do have a local business owner friend, go get some takeout from them, okay?
Yeah.
And if you're there picking up your takeout, tell them, hey, there's PPP round 2, in case they don't know. All right?
Hopefully they do know. We were talking to a very dear friend of ours, Stephen DeCastro. He's in Queens, right? He lives in Queens?
Queens, that's right.
They're not even open. I mean, the restaurants are not open at all for indoor seating.
Dining.
So, anyhow.
Yeah. And if you have any questions about that, feel free. If your bank, if you didn't do it the first time and you're like, I don't even know what he's talking about, but I want some money, just send an email to our office and I'll send you some information.
Right. The email is info@gmlaw.net.
That's right.
You can also send us a message through Messenger along with any questions that you maybe a lot of people have been shy these past couple weeks in answering questions, and that's okay. It's a busy day. People are probably still watching inauguration celebrations. I think they're still going on right now. But anyhow, I don't see any questions. Do you see any questions? Do you want to just quickly cover driver privilege card and go ahead and beat that drum? And I'll beat another drum right after you beat that drum.
Yes, DPC driver privilege card. Beat that drum every week. January 1st, 2021, new Virginia law went into effect, basically saying that if you're living in Virginia and you have reported income on a tax return in the previous 12 months, then you are eligible for a driving privilege card, which is just like a driver's license. It looks exactly the same, but you can only use it for driving, okay? You have to have proof of insurance, and you obviously have to be able to pass the written test and the driving test. But regardless of your immigration status, you're eligible for that. That's the big one. No matter what your immigration status is, if you haven't been able to get a license in the past because of an immigration situation, this might be for you. It's not for everyone. Again, reach out to our office if you're thinking about doing this, because there are some groups of people that I don't recommend this to, because I think it could just open a can of worms that you don't want to open up unnecessarily, okay? But if it does apply to you, you have to have filed taxes. And if you haven't, this is the question I always get about this. It doesn't matter if you didn't file taxes. You can do it retroactively. You can file them now. You'll need a tax identification number, an ITIN, okay? So if you know anyone who falls into that category, let them know. If the Biden legislation picks up some steam and some momentum and goes forward, this could be a moot point down the road.
Well, I think that'll still take a really long time.
Yes.
John and I went through 245I together. In fact, right when our law office opened, and that took years and years before our clients got their green card
Yeah.
because of priority dates. This is going to be a little bit different, but it's still going to take a long time to get through the process. I'm going to beat my drum, and that is, guys, if we have any of these sweeping immigration reforms that this administration is talking about, if they even do just DACA and help DACA, the dreamers out with a quick pathway to lawful permanent residency, what's that going to do to our immigration system? It's probably going to make it come to another grinding halt, right? So I'm going to beat my drum. All that stuff is wonderful. It's great in my opinion, and it's going to help so many people just come out of the shadows and just, you know, live their lives like they want to live their lives and support their families even better. But that said, if you've got your N-400 application, or if you've got your I-130 petition that you're wanting to file for a family member, or fiance visa, or a marriage adjustment, you gotta do it now. You gotta do it now, because again, it's first in, first out in the system, and the sooner you file, the sooner you're going to get your case processed. And I talked to an insider today, and I don't even need to talk to an insider. I just know this from, you know, being in the immigration business for 22 years. It's going to come to a grinding halt. It's already really, really slow right now, and they can't process what's coming in. So get in line, file your stuff, because you know, with COVID, the closures, with all this stuff that's happening, things have already slowed down quite a bit. And we want you to get in front of the big crowd. Have you ever gone to a restaurant and it's just the two of you, and then right after a 10 top comes in, right?
Sits right next to you.
Sits right next to you. And then, you know, you guys are, you know, we're like, yeah, drinking water and looking through the menu and taking pictures and whatever. And we all of a sudden we say, we gotta order.
Yeah, we got to get our order in before that 10 top gets their order in.
Because if they put their order in, we're done. It's gonna take forever, right?
That's right.
Same thing, guys. Same thing. Just think of, you know, any type of immigration reform as the 10 top, and you're the solo, the 20 top.
If you're already eligible and you've just been procrastinating, I would move. Radlin brings up an excellent point, because if this immigration reform does go through, there will just be an avalanche of stuff happening, which will slow everything down. You want to be in front of that, not behind it.
Absolutely.
Or in it, okay? Yep. If possible.
All right. Well, I think that is all that we have this
so. We don't have
evening.
any questions tonight? That's okay. Everybody's just, you know,
taking a breather.
Taking a breather from the questions.
Taking a breather. That's all. Right. It's all good. And just hello to you too. If you have a question for me, write it, type it. You can even call me after this. I forgot what this was called. Facebook
Live broadcast. That's right.
Yeah.
We monitor
I must be hungry.
for hours, days, weeks afterwards. So anytime you pop a question in there, we'll answer it.
And let me just say that John and I have a very soft spot to our Facebook Live community. We do. And you guys reach out to us if you need anything, because we're going to be here for you. So
always
have a wonderful week. We will see you next week, the 27th.
That's right.
Time is just ticking. Be grateful, like our immigrant of the week, Trevor Spencer, amazing guy. We're super grateful for you guys, and thank you always for joining us.
That's
right.
right.
See you next time.
It's a good day to have a good day. Two thumbs
up.
We'll see you all next week, okay? Take care.